Father, Mother, God, source of all that is, was, and will ever be, I call upon you to summon the angels of the highest white light, but also Jibril, Michael, and Raphael, my guardians dear, to whom God's love commits me here. Even this day be at my side to light and guard, to protect and guide. Source of all that is, was, will ever be, you have given us the greatest to assist us, on earth, Jibril, as our messenger. I ask him to help me clearly communicate these messages. I ask Archangel Michael to come to our aid as a protector, fight for us and protect us from danger. Raphael, to take our need for healing and lift it up into your grace as you deliver us back to the gift of restoration and recovery. Great I am, source of all that is, was, and will ever be, Father, Mother, God, Lord, Lady, Deity, help us to realize more fully the reality of these angels of the white light and their desire to serve us. Holy angels, pray for us, protect us, heal us, and carry our prayers to the ethers. So it is, so it is, so it is. This video is going to be on the topic of personal growth today. We're going to read a little bit from the good old doctor's book here, and then we will move forward with the cards, beginning with Wisdom of the Hidden Realms, and then we will navigate from there. Hello again, and welcome to SD Commentary. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. Personal growth from Spiritual Solutions, Answers to Life's Greatest Challenges by Dr. Deepak Chopra. Yes, he specializes in this book on relationships, success, health, and personal growth. As a physician, teacher, and best-selling author. Certainly one of the many greats. Getting closer to yourself has many practical benefits. So far, we have focused on the practical side because it is crucial for spirituality to solve the very problems that people face. But if you are a parent raising a young child, it will be short-sighted to think of walking, talking, and reading as practical things only. We don't say to a toddler, start walking, you may need to run after a bus to get to work. To grow from infancy to childhood, from adolescence to adulthood, is valuable in itself. Life unfolds in all its richness as we unfold. The inner and outer worlds mesh into a single process known as living. Spirituality has its own value, leaving aside all the practical considerations. When you are alone, facing no problems or crises, the situation doesn't call for solutions. Yet your need for spirituality is greater than ever. When you consider what it means simply to exist, the true self beckons. It can tell you who you really are, and nothing is more valuable. That's a grand pronouncement, I know. Anyone can spend a rewarding lifetime ignoring the riddle of who am I? Or, to be more precise, people answer. People answer the question by identifying with the everyday self. I am can be followed with countless words that apply to ordinary existence. I am my job, my relationships, my family, I'm my money and possessions, my status and importance. Into the equation, you can add race, ethnicity, politics, and religion. The everyday self is an expanding suitcase crammed with every thought, feeling, memory, and dream you've ever had. And yet, for all that, the true self has not really been touched. The soul, the essence, the source, by whatever name, your deepest identity doesn't unfold without personal growth. Spirituality is voluntary and in the modern age the vast majority of people opt out. Now that we've covered the practical reasons for not opting out, it's time to see whether the true self is worth seeking for its own worth, not just for what it can accomplish. Lofty ideals are not what we need either. We need to experience the true self and say, I choose you over my everyday self. A new kind of self-worth is implied, and a higher kind of love. The bliss of simply existing, if you can experience it, would be chosen by anyone over the ups and downs of ordinary existence. The fragile happiness that is always accompanied by sadness, anxiety, and disappointment. The everyday self is already flooded with experiences. To arrive at a deeper level requires a process that takes you higher. On a daily basis, you must orient yourself to grow in the following areas. A path to true self. Maturity, developing into an independent adult. Purpose, finding a reason to be here. Vision, adopting a worldview to live. Second attention, seeing with the eyes of the soul. Transcendence, going beyond the restless mind and the five senses. Liberation, becoming free of the reality illusion. Your success in these areas depends on you're really wanting them to unfold. Personal growth involves the same things that go into learning how to play the piano or to master French cooking. Desire, motivation, practice, repetition, and discipline. This is your life you want to transform. A generation ago, it was unusual to hear anyone speak about personal growth in these terms. Finding your true potential was just emerging as a catchphrase along with consciousness raising. Can we say that either one showed people how to reach the goal? Did thousands of aspiring seekers manage to transform themselves? Sadly, the answer is usually no. To find success, you must acquire a trait that protects you from fickleness, illusion, self-indulgence, and loss of motivation. That trait is sobriety. Sobriety is a combination of serious intent and realism. It is an expansion state of awareness that has to be cultivated. If you don't walk the walk, you will remain in a contracted state of the kind known as everyday existence. Let me apply sobriety then to each point on the preceding list. Maturity. Maturity is a psychological state, not a physical one. It involves things like emotional balance, self-reliance, moderation, and the possession of foresight. Children aren't expected to have those things. Adolescents move erratically in their direction. If the journey isn't completed, you can be 50 while still viewing the world through the mind of a 15-year-old. The demands of everyday life tend to work against maturity. There are so many distractions and pressures that a person can use as excuses. You can even say that society now devalues maturity. Mass media creates the illusion that being young and hip is much more fun. By comparison, not arriving late at work or staying after to finish up some paperwork is deadly dull. But in reality, the young are more stressed and anxious than at any other age of life or stage of life. Immaturity begins with the brightness of youth, but it wanes over the years because to remain immature is to miss the learning curve that allows you to master your life. Maturity doesn't sound like a spiritual word, but unless the spiritual path is grounded in mature psychology, it quickly evaporates into wispy dreams. Reaching maturity means that you practice the following on a daily basis: take responsibility for yourself, provide the necessities of life without depending on others, stand up for moral values, and play your part in keeping society together, beginning with the basic unit of society, your family. Treat others with respect and expect the same in return. Behave fairly and work toward justice in every situation. Learn the value of restraint and self-possession. Maturity, now purpose. Almost no one would say that they lead a purposeless life. We don't randomly put one foot ahead of the other. Our lives are formed around short-term and long-term goals. Yet despite this, at a deeper level of countless people do wonder why they are here. They regard with nostalgia a bygone time when being a good Christian, obeying God's laws, fitting into one's social class, or defending your country, among other things of ready-made purposes, was enough to give life meaning. We are left to find our own purpose, one person at a time. But here, nostalgia is misplaced. It was always true that life's real purpose was to be found through a personal search. I've offered the true self as a purpose worth devoting yourself to. Short of that, you can find purpose simply through growing and evolving. Looking to the unseen horizon, your purpose could be as profound as reaching enlightenment. If you are suspicious of being told what your purpose in life should be, that's healthy. The most one should accept is inspiration, which is also the most one can give. The point is to remain aware of your purpose, whatever it is. Everyday existence tends to blur our purpose before being here, swamping it in mundane practical demands. Purpose only survives by paying serious attention to it. Reaching your purpose means that you practice the following on a daily basis. Do at least one thing that is selfless. Read a passage of scripture, poetry, or inspirational prose that makes you feel uplifted. Share your ideals with someone who feels sympathetic. Without proselytizing, express your purpose for being here. Aim to inspire with modesty, not to persuade with force. Help your children to find their purpose. Make them see that this is important. Act from your highest values. Don't sink to the level of those who criticize or oppose you. Now applying sobriety to vision. When I was young, I committed to memory a quotation from the poet Robert Browning that in our grandparents' day was known by almost everyone. A man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for? The religious context may have faded away, but it is still necessary to aspire. Our highest aspirations speak to the visionary side of the true self. There are practical aspirations, of course, that are not visionary, such as aspiring to make partner in a law firm or to earn $1 billion. Material aspirations occupy the front of people's minds, yet in reaching them, they don't attain heaven or any other higher ground. The gap between everyday life and the soul remains wide. The yearning for something more isn't fulfilled. A vision is broader than a purpose. It embraces a worldview which implies action. You step outside the worldview of those who don't share the same vision. Walking the spiritual path unites you with generations of other visionaries. At the same time, however, you can't ride two horses. The demands of material life are renounced. This isn't the same as giving up on comfort and success. One kind of vision sees such a wide separation between the worldly and the spiritual that materialism is turned into an enemy of the soul. Fortunately, there's another vision that speaks of renunciation not through physical means, but as a new orientation. You put your highest value on spiritual ground while maintaining your everyday life, even engaging in it fully. This is what is meant by being in the world, but not of it. Reaching your vision means that you practice the following on a daily basis. Look beyond everyday events to their higher meaning. What is your soul trying to tell you? Question your habits of consumption. Put material success in its proper place. Leave time to be with yourself. Put your values to the test by trusting in the universe or God to take care of you. Appreciate the present moment. See others around you as reflections of your inner reality. Read deeply into the scriptures and literature that express your vision. Second attention. This is sobriety applied to second attention. Being in the world but not of it, it has to be real, not simply an ideal. We are engulfed by the material world and its demands. How can we put it into proper place while still earning a living, raising a family, and enjoying some comforts? The answer lies at the level of attention. The things you consider most important draw your attention, and in essence, they become your world, your reality. For someone fixated on his career, work becomes his reality too, because that's what he pays the most attention to. In an age of faith, God became real for the same reason. People didn't necessarily meet God personally or have experiences of the divine, but hours of every day were spent either in devotion or doing God's work. In spiritual terms, this single-minded focus can be called first attention, but there's a different flavor of awareness, so to speak, known as second attention. With second attention, you see through the eyes of the soul, to put it succinctly. First attention, from this level of awareness, a person focuses on events in the physical world, pursues individual desires, accepts social values of family, work, and worship, sees the world in linear terms, operating through the cause and effect, and accepts the boundaries of time and space. Second attention. From this level of attention, a person transcends the physical world, follows intuition and insight, accepts that the soul is the basis of the self, seeks his source in the timeless, aspires to higher states of consciousness, and trusts in individual forces that connect the individual with the cosmos. Second attention connects with the true self and takes you to the essence of reality. This essence can never be destroyed or completely suppressed. The soul awaits its resurrection, not through an apocalyptic end of some kind or time, but through each individual beginning to wake up. Reaching second attention means that you practice the following on a daily basis. Listen to the quietest part of yourself, trusting that its messages are true. Put less trust in the physical world and more on the inner world. Learning to center yourself. Don't make decisions when you are not centered. Don't make frantic actions for results. Results come from a deeper level of being. Bond with at least one other person from the soul. Seek silent communication with yourself and your surroundings. Spend time in the natural world, soaking up its beauty. See past the mask of personality that people wear in public. Express your truth as simply as possible. Now, moving forward, we are applying sobriety to transcendence. The phrase to transcend means to go beyond, but how can you really know if you have? In a parable from my childhood, a holy man sits in a cave until the day arrives when he reaches the cherished goal of enlightenment. He cannot wait to tell the good news to the villagers in the valley below. All the way down the mountain, the holy man is in bliss. He walks through the marketplace on his way to the temple when somebody pokes him incidentally in the ribs. Out of my way, the holy man shouts angrily. Then he stops, thinks for a second, and turns around to go back to his cave again. This could be read as a parable about false pride, but it's also about transcending. And I'm going to pause here for a moment. I have mentioned prior in content that it is not uncommon for some of us, some of you, upon the beginning stage of awakening, we get overwhelmed with this grandiosity, like the ego goes the opposite direction that we intend and begins to expand in an unhealthy manner. Why? Because we believe that we had this epiphany, in quotations, that we have suddenly somehow become better than everyone else. Now, as the more intricate and uncomfortable stages of awakening occur, it throws us back. That's where, in saying sometimes we have to take 2 steps back in order to move forward with steady continuity. And this is because instead of lowering the egoic state, somehow it bursts into this big, what we believe to be presence, when in all actuality it's just opening up like so to say, hey, you need to put your eyes here first and focus on practicing and applying discipline in our everyday life that will not squash the ego but temper it, draw it back into itself without losing it, because some parts of our ego are extremely important in our boundaries, discipline, development, and very much so that part where we realize the most important thing that we are here on this planet to do is to get super duper acquainted with our true self. To thine own self be true. And the importance of knowing thyself, and the only way to achieve that, or at least to get that fire really stoked, is to learn what it means to be in healthy isolation, to willfully go into the caverns and not feel as though we are escaping anything or anyone, but with the intent to drown out all of the distractions and confusion and just really tune in, tap in to that nothingness that gradually started somehow, some way, becoming everything that we know and don't know around us. If we are really established in our true self, the knockabout of the everyday world doesn't shake us anymore. We feel detached, but not because we don't care or because we have completely unplugged or zoned out. Spiritual detachment means that you view the world from a timeless place. The place isn't found in a cave on a remote mountaintop. There can be no location for this place except inside of you. That is the cavern. That is that safe space for isolation. The inner temple. The inner temple. The original crux between the ears and on in to this meridian, this center, where the crown and all the energy above the crown flows in this direction, and then from being grounded and the root, those meridians flow upward and they meet right here. And this is where we realize that what we are seeking is not even outside of us. There can be no location for this place except for inside of us. In practical terms, to transcend involves finding such a place, knowing it, and making it your home. This is what it means when we say we are all here to walk each other home. We are here to inspire and aspire to go home. Home. The traditional methods for transcending lead to second attention. These are meditation, contemplation, and self-reflection. Time has not made these methods outdated, but there's no denying that as modern life becomes more stressful, as the everyday world gets noisier and faster, people have less time for meditation. Even setting aside a few minutes a day somehow slips away, and best intentions are forgotten. It would be worrisome if personal growth couldn't be achieved because of external distractions. Personal growth can't be destroyed, however, but only postponed. As long as the true self is real, we will be attracted to it because deep down each of us has a craving for reality. We don't want to base our lives on illusion. To go beyond then isn't about any organized spiritual practice. It's about following your own nature as you seek greater happiness and fulfillment. Spiritual practices have no value except as an aid to get you to your goal. I fully agree with the teaching that true meditation is 24 hours a day. There is a great value in setting aside a time out for sitting silently and experiencing a deeper state. But once you open your eyes, refreshed and more centered, what good will it do to throw yourself back into stress and strain? The crucial issue is how to bring inner silence into the real world and make a difference. That's the part that takes 24 hours because it's a full-time occupation to become aware of who you really are. It's also a joyful occupation and the most fascinating project you could possibly undertake for yourself. In reading this particular section of this book, it can't be any more obvious where some of our mentors, teachers, advisors, coaches, leaders are getting their information from. Other greats. It doesn't mean that they're copycatting this doctor. It means that they find value in this information, and part of integrating it is discussing it, sharing it, passing it on, paying it forward, creating that ripple of golden light for others. And then furthermore, if they notice it and feel as though it resonates with them, congratulations. You just made a positive and uplifting difference in someone else's life. Effortlessly. Just by in the works of knowing thyself, you are also, by demonstrating it in focused action, by creating that ripple, that is the focused action, with healthy intent, it reaches another and another and another. But don't focus on that end goal. You just keep going and keep repeating that cycle, that process. And eventually all of those old cycles that are useless will fall away like molting. They'll fall away like we're shedding it. Like, okay, this dry, crusty shell on the surface no longer has a place in this life for us. I fully agree, and the doctor fully agrees, as this is him speaking in this next line. I fully agree with the teaching that true meditation is 24 hours a day. There is great value in setting aside a time out for sitting silently and experiencing a deeper state. But once you open your eyes, the crucial issue is how to bring that inner silence into the real world and make a difference. That's the part that takes 24 hours because it's a full-time occupation to become aware of who you really are. It's also a joyful occupation and the most fascinating project you could possibly undertake for yourself. Reaching the transcendent means that you practice the following on a daily basis. Stay centered. Notice the external influences that are making demands on your attention. When carried away by a strong emotion or impulse, take a moment to come back to yourself. Walk away from the stressful situations when you can. Don't remain in any situations that make you so uncomfortable that you aren't yourself. Don't give in to the anxieties of others. Be mindful that you are more than a set of reactions to your environment. You are an expression of the true self, always. In every situation where you feel confused, ask, what is my role here? Until you find out, don't act or make decisions. Hang loose until reality begins to reveal itself a little more. And then applying sobriety to liberation. In a spiritual vein, it is said that creation is the eternal play of opposites: good versus evil, light versus dark, order versus chaos. Yet the ultimate drama is played out over the illusion versus reality. No one wakes up thinking that it's going to be a good day for living in an illusion. We assume that our personal reality is real, and therefore it's baffling to realize that everything we see, hear, touch, taste, and smell could be an illusion instead. We assume that our personal reality is real, and therefore it's baffling to realize that everything we see, hear, touch, taste, and smell could be an illusion instead. Modern scientists have already provided a basis for dissolving the physical world. Every solid object disappears into invisible packets of energy when you delve into the subatomical level, and beyond that, even energy collapses into a construct that has no boundaries in time and space, the so-called excuse me, wave function. I've heard that term recently from another teacher as well. Excuse me for just one moment. I have to go pour myself a beverage to keep the throat chakra meridian cleared for this message. I will be right back. All right, and here we are. But it's as if I never left. So, okay, where did we leave off? Here we go. If you want to lead a life based on reality, the fact that the physical world is an illusion cannot be taken merely as a curious fact, to be ignored as you continue to do what you always do. Just as matter vanishes when you go deep enough, so do time and space. They spring from the quantum vacuum, a void that appears to contain nothing, but that in actuality serves as the origin of every event since the Big Bang, along with infinite possibilities that have not yet emerged in the cosmos. In the world's spiritual traditions, the state of infinite possibilities is not a faraway, unimaginable condition, but the very ground state of existence. The true self liberates you because it brings you out of limitation, grounding you in a reality that is timeless, without boundaries, and infinite in its possibilities. The whole issue of illusion versus reality must become personal if you want to be free. We'll discuss this in more detail in the final section of this book. The first step is a moment of disillusion. You stand back and admit that you do not really know the basis of your existence. By surrendering to what you don't know, you can allow knowledge to flow in. That's the true meaning of surrender. You are like a prisoner who stares at four narrow walls lit by a small window high up. The prisoner faces reality if he admits that he is in prison. But what if he doesn't? What if he thinks that his cell is the whole world? Then his notion of freedom would be insane. The same conclusion applies to each of us in our limited lives, but we don't label ourselves insane. After all, everyone we know accepts being imprisoned as normal, Only a small, strange band of saints, sages, and visionaries, booyah, send up a loud cry for freedom. And then I just heard the sound of like Tarzan doing the whole chest beating and, you know, that bellop that comes out that I'm not even going to attempt to imitate. Oh my goodness. Speaking of imitation, I had the most amazing, wow, groundbreaking drumming journey yesterday. It was unguided, meaning that we just kind of carried ourselves on this journey without a narrator, without a speaker dictating the scenery and where we're going and where we stop, and then we take over from there by opening ourselves up to allow different guides, people, animals, imagery, so on and so forth, to come through without force. And what came through for me was an animal that actually mimics, and in specifics, I'm speaking on the blue macaw. And this particular journey was a journey to discover which chakras, which meridians are blocked and need work. How this worked out for me was, although the bird didn't say anything, it didn't actually speak human, it was like I heard a voice without a voice through the visuals. And this bird, this blue macaw, imagine this huge, bright, beautiful bird just kind of going do 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 across this beautiful like terracotta clay colored rock ledge, right? And as it's doing so, it's also going like this. And it would start by rolling its shoulders forward and then rolling its shoulders backwards. I did this just like instinctively while I'm in this state. I didn't even think twice about it or question it or really apply a first thought to it. I just started sitting while I'm, into the drumming session, mimicking this bird that I see. In doing so, oh my gosh, I did 10 reps going forward like this, bringing my elbows closer together, of course, but I can't demonstrate that because I'm sitting in front of a round table and it's kind of in the way. And then I did 10 reps, or not, well, I mean, you know what I mean. They weren't reps, but I just did like 10 rolls backwards. And as I started to initiate going the opposite direction, I could feel like this warm flow coming down into right about here. But I could also, from, I would say, right around my pelvic region on up, it was like think of it as like when the two oceans, we've seen this before in images and video footage of when two oceans of different consistencies come together, and it's like, but one doesn't dominate the other. They just they meet, and then they marry a little bit without, again, one overcoming the other. And at first it was just like, it was like I could feel that warmth expanding inside of me, right in between, um, right about here and my chin. I could feel, and it was just like this beautiful flow, and it was also like I could feel like a lump that was in my throat. When I swallow, I could feel it. It was like as I was swallowing from there, that lump disappeared. Not to say that there was actually a physical lump, but there was something going on where it was affecting my communication. And upon participation of this practice, it was like popping the cork on a champagne bottle. I legit felt myself opening up, and it was, my gosh, I have not had an experience like this since the last time I realized that I was being thrusted into a personal awakening. And I journeyed, back from there, guided. And upon opening my eyes, it was as though like this, that all that energy that was like oscillating went, and it didn't leave me, but it started flowing outside of me in every direction. And I immediately knew, without understanding how I knew, that this was like the Most High and my higher self trying to communicate to me that I needed to work on my communication. And on the days where I don't feel connected to any kind of special message, but I want to keep my line of communication with the external world open and continuous, we do things like reach for a book or look for avenues of sharing and spreading golden nuggets, which were already inspiring. So it's like a fail safe. And we know that we can, on those days where we don't really feel like anything new is coming through, we know that we can rely on being transparent enough to say, okay, in this particular moment, this is going to be a review of something we've already learned, or drawing inspiration from others. And we're actually supposed to do that. We're supposed to do that. Only the spiritual gatekeepers who want to be the only ones to be in that state, that golden state, which if you're trying to gatekeep others, you're stagnant. You're not in any flow state, just so you know. You're blocking your own blessings by putting false teachings out there that like only your way is the way or it's the highway. That's not how it works. Each of us have our own personal journey. Sometimes part of that journey is teaching, speaking, being, like a public speaker, a motivational speaker, so on and so forth, where it is required of us to use our voice. Sometimes we experience our own blockages, And it's not necessarily to blame on another person. It could be an experience that we went through that kind of put us on pause. We're not cut off from anything, by the way. And I used to spit words like that, like, oh, you're cut off because, well, no. No, that cord is always going to be there. It might feel severed from time to time, but that's more due to that low frequency that we're sitting at, that we're idle at. Self-doubt, shame, guilt, anger, bitterness, and sometimes even jealousy and envy can creep in. And those are our enemies, not people, places, and things outside of us ourselves, but those principalities, or the principalities which represent those types of frequency flows, do absolutely crop up in others. But the more that we know ourselves, the less we are affected by those illusions of external sources. We become our own wardens by choosing and allowing those low vibrational, low frequency states of being. So, working on my communication, the best way for me to do so is to grab a book that I know, or other material that I know is truly in alignment. I'm not faking anything. I'm not pretending to be somebody or something else other than who I am. I understand that in order to prepare, we need to have these tools and materials readily available. Of course, we know upon opening up and surrendering to this awakening that we were born with all of the spiritual tools and materials, right? But in order to assist others in recognizing those very same tools as being tangible to them, we have to have, they expect evidence. They expect the regalia. You know, if you show up saying, hi, I'm a witch doctor and I can change your life with this and this and this, and you're dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, some of your onlookers are going to be like, are you serious? So even though we know the regalia is not necessary, many of the greats even will do somewhat of a disservice to themselves in a way, knowing that they're putting on this costume to appease others. It doesn't make them less spiritual if they're borrowing quotes and teachings from others in order to enhance their own development. Because all of it came from nothing. All of it came from nothing. It doesn't belong to any one person, place, or thing. If it's safe, if it's healthy, and if it may be of some assistance, go for it. You're not hurting anyone. Anyone. And part of liberation is understanding that. Understanding that that gatekeeping, telling others that they're doing it wrong because they're communicating from and aspiring from inspiration from others. If that's so wrong, then why are you doing it? And what's your big secret? Besides going out there in the world and experiencing it for yourself. The prisoner faces reality if he admits that he is in a prison, right? Moving forward. Dedicating yourself to exploring the unknown. This book was unbeknownst to me until I bought it. And so, seeing beyond your limited situation, take as your first principle that you are a child of the universe. Dwell on those moments when you feel free, exhilarated, and unbounded. Tell yourself that you have touched what is truly real. Seek love as your birthright along with bliss and creativity. You know, the lollipops and rainbows and the unicorns and all that fun stuff. Do that too. It's okay. Dedicate yourself to exploring the unknown. Know that there is something infinitely precious beyond the reach of the five senses. Someone might protest, how can I even change? This is all so overwhelming. There's too much to do. I sympathize. When you lay out the particulars of personal growth, the panorama looks vast. It's for good reason that the Indian traditions speak of enlightenment as being like a gold palace which brings bliss and freedom, while dismantling your old reality is like tearing down a hut which brings panic and dismay as the walls collapse around you. To state the case without metaphors, when you look around, the world seems real. And so it is, but it's a reality without the true self. When you reach the end of the journey, you look around, and once more the world looks real, only this time you are fully awake, established in the true self. In between these two poles, life is confusing. I keep recognizing all these sayings directly from this book that I have, no joke, been recently hearing from others. And they have huge platforms. Thousands of, we're talking 5 digits worth of followers, okay? Repeating these words. Does that make them fake? Does that make them inauthentic? Sit with that one. When you reach the end of the journey, you look around and once more the world looks real. There are days when you get it. Events unfold as if someone upstairs were watching over you. In fact, you are watching over yourself. There are other days when the spiritual life vanishes like a dream and you are mired in the same hard slog as everyone else. What keeps you going? Think of children and how they develop. Through good days and bad, through smiles and tears, a hidden reality is unfolding. The surface of life doesn't tell the real tale of neural pathways, genes, and hormones as they come together in concert to make a new person out of the unformed material we were given at birth. Nature protects our growth. Spiritual growth is liberated from this kind of determinism. Destiny is no longer biology. You have to make a choice to evolve, but that too is natural. If evolution is going to shift from the body to the mind, then the mind must enter into the decisions that determine how you evolve. Despite life's ups and downs, the project of evolving isn't complex. All you need to ask is one question. If I choose X, will it add to my evolution or take away from it? You may not like asking that question. There are plenty of times when immediate pleasure or reckless giving in to an impulse is more attractive. You may not like the answer you get either. Evolution is usually unselfish, and we are all conditioned to look out for number one, either from greed or from desperation. None of these obstacles matter, nor does resistance, disappointment, or backsliding, as long as you can ask that one question. If I choose X, will it add to my evolution or take away from it? You are stepping towards freedom. The great wisdom teachers would declare that failure is impossible. In fact, simply to ask yourself if you are evolving is evolution itself. All right, the essence of this lesson. Let's get into it, shall we? Your true self is the real you, but how can this be experienced? The everyday self is already flooded with experiences. To arrive at a deeper level requires a process. On a daily basis, you orient yourself to grow in the following areas. Number 1, maturity, developing into an independent adult. Number 2, purpose, finding a reason to be here. Number 3, vision, adopting a worldview to live by. Number 4, second attention, seeing with the eyes of the soul. Number 5, transcendence, going beyond the restless mind and the 5 senses. And last but not least, liberation, becoming free of boundaries and attachments. When all these aspects of your true self begin to grow, they combine towards one goal, breaking down the reality illusion that keeps you from knowing who you really are. The end of the reality illusion marks the stage of evolution known as enlightenment. There we have it with that portion of the book. All right, let's reach for my Wisdom of the Hidden Realms deck. Yes. So, let's tap into Wisdom of the Hidden Realms and contribute furthermore to this storytelling. And as a mental note, becoming transparent to the rest of you. I'm going to be working on how I word things moving forward. As I do not consider any of the work I do as fortune telling, when in all actuality, we're really just telling a story. And manifesting. So even when I break out the tarot and oracle, I consider it manifesting in the form of storytelling, not fortune telling. As a matter of fact, you may want to be careful how you put yourself out there in terms of using these tools and materials, because in some states, it's actually against the law to be a fortune teller. So watch your backs and watch your necks, folks. Especially those of you who like to speak out of both sides of your neck. Just be careful out there, brothers and sisters. Be careful. Call back your energy every single day and armor up. Okay, I have 6 cards on the table. I'm going to begin one at a time and give a brief interpretation of the message, and then I will read the full custom description of each card from there. First up, we have the Hawk Prince. Isn't this interesting? The number 11. And this touches on spirit communication and paying attention. If anything, this confirms everything that I just shared about my own personal story, as well as what was shared from the book. Some of us are working on our communication both in the spirit and the physical realms. Disciplining ourselves instead of just head in the clouds. We are head in the clouds, but feet on the ground. Expanding in every direction. All right, let's discuss, shall we? The Hawk Prince. So it states, spirit communication, paying attention. As an ally, the Hawk Prince appears with good news. He flies into your life to alert you that a message is coming to help you manifest your destiny. Expect a phone call, letter, email, or conversation that lets you know the next step to take toward your greatest good, or to tell you that you have arrived at an important stage along your path. The Hawk Prince is also the ally for spirit communication. So pay attention when you think you hear something important pop out at you on the radio, on TV, or in overhearing the conversations of strangers. Spirit is constantly in dialogue with you. Are you listening? Stay open and expect Spirit to speak to you and show you the way to your prosperity in all aspects of your life. Now, when they come in as a challenger, the Hawk Prince challenges you to pay attention and listen to the warnings being sent your way. Are you pushing forward in spite of others cautioning about the direction you're headed? Are you refusing to listen to your own inner voice? Red flags are waving in the breeze, and you are being challenged to heed their message. When the Hawk Prince descends as your challenger, it is an indication that something is not quite right. Do not worry, though. He always arrives just in time for you to let go of your old ways and begin again. Spirit only wants the best for you. You may be questioning whether or not you are on the right path. Feeling as though things are not moving fast enough, or that you even may have left the building, left the path. When your creation abilities seem to stall or things are not materializing, it can be frustrating and confusing. This can cause us to give up hope, questioning our ability to manifest, doubt our self-worth, and generally losing hope. This message reminds us to have faith and tune into the universe as it tries endlessly to communicate with us. And yes, sometimes this happens when we're not in meditation and when we are actually setting out into the world. And yes, these messages come from other people. Come from other people. It's still the Most High. It's still source of all that is, was, and will ever be, because we are all, and it is all connected. God speaks to us through others, even complete strangers. And that's just the way it is. So if you hear other people repeating things that you may have said before, let them. Actually, it's not even about letting them or allowing them. They don't need your permission. Period. We can take what we learn from others and pay it forward, however we so choose. And the ones who are so ridiculously bothered by it, you're the ones who need to ask yourself, why do you even care? Why does it bother you so much? Nobody's obsessed with you. Nobody's copycatting you. And nobody wants to be you. That is your ego speaking. And it's going to block your heart and your throat and everything else. So useful in getting to know your true self and your higher self on your journey. Expect delays if you keep using that played out dialogue. Next, we have the fire prince. Interesting. Optimism and aggression. Yes, this is like saying, keep it solid, but also there are healthy forms of aggression like assertion, being assertive, using your voice to apply your boundaries. Let's see what is behind this one. And here we go. The Fire Prince as an ally. When the Fire Prince arrives as your ally, he lets you know that he represents the invisible forces behind all manner of manifestation, and he brings you the gift of optimism. You will be rightly inspired to move forward and take confident and assertive action to reach your goal. What did I just say? Envisioning the path of the highest good with an optimistic outlook, the Fire Prince also brings you the gift of a miracle. Things come together as if by magic to create the reality you see. You have every reason to be hopeful. Not getting in other people's way of being hopeful. Move forward knowing that you have everything you need and more. Just remember to be optimistic for them too, and your good fortune will multiply. I do not even feel led to read on this as a challenger, but I will touch on the theme. A warning to be careful of burnout. Obsessively focusing on things you want. Having a hard time letting go of things. And it, in so many words, touches on self-doubt as well. Moving forward, we have Gaia's garden, fruition, abundance, and reaping what you sow. It is no big secret that what we put out there comes back. So anytime we come across information in this life that feels familiar or it just resonates, like we can relate to it, we as a whole, holy ones, in past lives, put this out there. Put this information out there already, and it's coming back to us. If you understand the collective as a unity consciousness, it's our own stuff coming back to us in a new life, in a new life form, so that we can find what we looked over the last time and apply that as well. It's like reading a good book more than once. It's like when you go back into the second time, you're finding even more golden nuggets than you did the first time. And what are you doing? You're going to share about it. And you're going to be excited about sharing about it and paying it forward and keeping that ripple going. It doesn't make you ingenuine at all. When our own energies, frequencies, and vibrations made its way back around. Let's talk about Gaia's garden, guys. This is a good one. Certainly a good one. I'm confident it is because I've read this one before numerous times. Partake in the blessings of life, beloveds. Just accept it for what it is. It is what it is. Fruition, abundance, and reaping what you sow. In Gaia's garden, everything you need, you have everything you need to make your dreams come true. There is no shortage of anything, and you're constantly reminded of the law of supply. Gaia is the infinite spirit manifest in all tangible things. She represents the abundance of nature. When she comes to you as your ally, she invites you to partake of all the blessings of life. There will always be enough for everyone. So stop with the gatekeeping. Success comes to you from the fruits of your intentions, and all is well with the world as a result. This is also a sign to remind you to give thanks and maintain an attitude of humility and gratitude as your greatest good now manifests for you. Gaia's gifts are sweeter when you share them with others. Share them. Confidently. Knowing that even when you're taking someone else's teaching, you're still communicating it authentically. You are not being inauthentic. I would love to see that dialogue go away for good in 2024. After all, this is the year of abundance. This is the year of abundance. 2024 is the number 8. I need to pause and wipe my camera. Hold on a second. There we are. Much better. Much better. That smudge is gone. And imagine that. So, yes, we are in the era of abundance. And once we understand that our words very much so do have power and they very much so do manifest, we're more mindful of spoken word as well as our actions. So, this is why we insist on putting out positive feedback. The Shadow Queen, acquiring knowledge, insecurity, and manipulation. And that's exactly what the gatekeepers are doing when they try to shame you and embarrass you, especially in front of others. It's manipulation. It's crowd control and manipulation. It's one thing to control a crowd without the intent of being the one in control with positive feedback. It just naturally occurs. People will be naturally drawn to it. Unfortunately, in this day and age, some people are also naturally drawn to being insecure, creating insecurities, and manipulating others into silence. This is telling us that even with life's greatest accomplishments, we still have challenges, challengers. It just is what it is. The Shadow Queen. The Shadow Queen tells us that there are too many things going behind us with the speed of a snail, and there are a lot of stuff being kept from us, and those are the reasons that we cannot move forward at this moment. I apologize. I don't know who the author is of this statement. Dang it. It was submitted November 13th, 2018, and I don't know who the author is, but those are not the exact words. Hold on. Let me just make sure that, there we go. Just wanted to make sure that I'm clicking on the correct link this time. I'm not going to pull any more cards. I'm just going to share what's left on the table and call her good. The Shadow Queen tells you that too many of the details hidden behind your circumstances are preventing you from moving forward quickly at this time. She has come with a lantern to help shed light on what is concealed within you or your situation. This is the time to wait for more to be revealed. Perhaps you lack clarity and the knowledge of how to proceed with the subject of your inquiry. It's time to educate yourself a little more about your intention and then put that information to work for you. The Shadow Queen asks that you dig deep to gain strength and that you have the courage to ask someone in the know to shed light on your circumstances. She promises to send that person to you. Beware of moving too quickly in the dark, as you will likely trip and fall and have to start again. There it is. Right next to the Shadow Queen, we have the Queen of Light. Illumination, enlightenment, and celebration. All right, back again. I had to take a momentary pause. All is well. Here we go with the Queen of Light. Or the Queen of the Light. Is a beautiful ally and comes into your life to herald success in all your ventures. She illuminates the most important steps on your path and reminds you of your own brilliance. You're intelligent and inspired, and all your needs will be met. Remember that you're the instrument of the divine shining through you in this world. You're on the correct path for your highest good. The Queen also brings you insight into how you manifest your reality in the most miraculous ways. She promises that you'll be shown the next right action and celebrate you as you stand brilliant, joyful, and enlightened in the present time. You've worked hard to come this far. You can be proud to stand tall in your conviction that in your heart of hearts you know the truth of your situations. Rewards for your perseverance and willingness to learn are on their way. Gratitude and acceptance are key today. So this clarifies what I was saying about with our successes comes challenges. And in many cases, it is these challenges that motivate us. Either way, it is as it is, and we are being guided to accept that it's happening for us, not to us, for the greater good, and we are already on the right path. When we are on the right path and remain on the right path, we will continue to be rewarded, because just as those challenges and other uncomfortable scenarios and situations come back around, so does the good stuff, beloveds. So does the good stuff. And the better that we are and or become at disengaging from the gatekeepers, the more better off we are. Just chalk them up as, gee, thanks for the lesson. No, go on about your way and mind your business. The Lady of Light, last but not least. This one also has been coming out frequently. Surprises, sometimes shock, total paradigm shifts. Yeah, total paradigm shifts towards illumination, celebration, and enlightenment. Isn't that something? The Lady of Lightning. As an ally, the Lady of Lightning brings powerful forces of change into your life. She tells you to expect a sudden shift in your circumstances. Perhaps a situation you weren't anticipating arises and offers you the opportunity of a lifetime, or a series of aha moments culminates in a pivotal flash of insight, causing everything to change just like that. Maybe someone enters your life and pushes you to new heights. This is what I was just saying about these challengers. This what I meant, but in my own words. Sometimes our haters are our biggest motivators. That's right. For sure. Now, maybe someone enters your life and pushes you to new heights. You may have a brilliant idea that hits you like lightning. Be prepared. Change is imminent and a total paradigm shift may be upon you. Don't resist the changes, as this kind of lightning isn't something you want to fight. Great things are happening. Great things are happening when the Lady of Lightning appears. And that concludes today's storytelling touching on personal growth. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you made it this far, much gratitude to you and appreciation. If you like what you hear, smash that like button, go and subscribe, hit that bell, and I will see you on the other side. Namaste and brightest blessings.